Hi, okay, so my name is Enrique Cervantes, and I'm partnered with Brenda Reyes, and our presentation is focusing on should children specialize in a single sport. Real quick, what we're going to go over in this presentation, there'll be a little questionnaire, short video, with us some stats regarding sports participation, facts about sports specialization. We're going to look at the argument for it, sources, and then references. So first off, as you're watching this, look at these questions real quick. Write them down if you want. As a child, how many sports did you participate in? If so, did you enjoy playing different sports? If you were given a choice, would you specialize in one sport or play multiple sports? As a parent, present or in the future, are you going to have your children specialize in one sport? And if you are, why or why not? So video, if you can cut the video, great. Pretty much what sums up is coaches believe that players should play multiple sports, but they're not going to um, go against you if you just want to do one sport. Key factor, which we will touch on later on in our presentation video, is that injuries are a key factor for those who specialize in single sport, meaning those who only specialize in one sport are more likely to get injured than those who play multiple sports. And we'll get into that a little more on the presentation. So here we have some special graphs, really summing it up in general terms. Sports decreased from 45.5% in 2008 to 40% in 2013. So team sports participation are decreasing. 1 in 3 children participating in high calorie burning sport fitness at least 3 times a week. That's between the ages 6 and 12. So we do have kids out there participating in sports. Daily exercise, physical fitness, all that. Um, Within those numbers, 60% of boys and 40% of girl students who participate in at least one organized sport. So if you look at it, it's more the boys who are focusing more on the specialization within sports. You know, trying to grow towards focusing on one sport as opposed to just playing a bunch of them as a child. An average child between the ages of 6 to 17 participate in less than 2 team sports. So it's really that kind of age range from adolescence growing into the teenage high school years where the specialization starts to happen for the boys and girls. A little bit of just facts about specialization. Number of children are decreasing in sports activity partly because of early specialization. That's within the last 5 years. Um, Among 6-year-olds to 17-year-olds, the average number of team sports played per participant has fallen 5.9% in the last 5 years. It went from 2.14 to 2.01, according to the SFIA. So there you see there's a drop between, excuse me, a drop between those who are playing one sport and playing multiple sports. Dr. Anders Ericsson uh, has stated to become an expert at something you need about 10,000 hours of practice. According to him, parents and some coaches have pushed the notion of sports specialization due to his theory of what it takes to become an expert. So parents see this and they start pushing a child, hey, you want to be a basketball, want to be a football player, you need to stay in it, have more hours towards that sport. 88% of college athletes participate in more than one sport as a child. So there's a high amount of those who play multiple sports. Specialized athletes are 70 to 93% more likely to be injured, as we touched on earlier about that video. Those in one sport are more likely to get injured, stress fractures, repeated tear on the same muscles that again, the body naturally wears down. Other facts: in the 2015 NFL Draft, 244 to 256 picks were multi-sport athletes in high school. And now, as opposed to today, 78% of high school athletes are specializing. You got kids who do the travel ball teams for baseball. They do football year round, travel basketball. So those are sort of the new specializations that's going on in today's. society at this point. So one thing we want to look at is to see what exactly caused specialization in sports. And we found a study by Robert M. Molina in 2010 looking at the causes. He found six distinct causes that led to specialization. They were perceptions of the East, daring ahead, labeling, scholarship, professional contracts, sporting goods industries, and expertise research. Each one has its own different theme. For perceptions of the East, it was the East culture and beliefs to have changed to support specialization. They were big on identifying a single talent that somebody had, and then getting them in the programs to increase that talent and have them develop those talents mm, towards that goal of their life. That leads to also day ahead, which is a key thing that parents do, is they want their children to be better than the next child. So what they always do, they want to push them. Just parents are channeling their own interests to their kids. Um, they want to put emphasis on value of achievements. So what they're doing is they're pushing this kids like, hey, keep trying at this, keep working with this, and they not force, but they kind of push their children, into wanting to get just one thing downright, specialization. Labeling. You label a kid as gifted and talented, they're going to keep continuing in that role. So as a parent, this ties back into labeling. What you do is you kind of keep the kids. Oh, I got this. I can do this. I'm gonna keep doing it and I get better at it. The sporting good industry is obviously products, conditioning programs, training facilities, all emphasizing for the kids to be better at those individual sports. And also expertise research. Parents are doing it too, finding the research on specific skills, training hours, trying to help the kid become the next best thing. So in regard to sports specialization, we are arguing that we think it's unmoral for the youth to specialize in one sport until they are at least young adults, in the high school age. We believe that because we see the main reason for the increase in specialization are the parents. Parents are pushing their children to play one sport due to multiple different reasons that we'll get into on the next slide. And we found that the data regarding the disadvantages of specialization in one sport outweighs the benefits for one sport. Continuing our argument, we're going to look at the advantages and disadvantages of sports specialization. The advantages, faster increase in sport-specific skills, comfortable and confidence, life development experiences. You're traveling, competition is different, players with different backgrounds. You do get greater exposure to college and pro careers, and you have more opportunity to refine and master, your athletic skills. However, on the other side, disadvantages we see one of the biggest ones are early overuse injuries. When specializing in one sport, athletes are 70 to 93% more likely to get injured as opposed to those in multi-sport counterparts. Repeated trauma to tendons, muscles, bones, you get stress fractures. It's a big factor in those who are only doing one sport. Early overtraining. Kids get burned out. They're doing more training than their body can take at a young age, and so leads to them being burnt out. The example is, rule of thumb is you should only be training their age in hours per week. So if a child is 10, they should only be training for 10 hours a week. Another disadvantage is overdependence. Most athletes who specialize in one sport are being fostered by their parents and coaches. Everything their sleep, training, eating, competition gets regulated by them, so the kids sort of lose their independence, and parents and coaches control what goes on in their lives. And as a kid, it's sort of unfair to that to lead to the next point, social isolation, isolate you from friends, teammates who are only seasonal, and even parents can lose out on stuff because they're committed to only one sport as opposed to others who move from sport to sport. Manipulation. Parents, as sad as it is, parents can manipulate their kids into going into fostering the one sport. Coaches can do the same thing, particularly once you get into the high school level. they just start pushing this on a kid, and sort of keeping them away from other sports, and fostering that specialization. And then also compromised growth and maturation. As a child specializes in one sport at an early age, before puberty, they develop muscles specific to that sport, and so you lose different skills and muscles that you can get from other sports that are being used, and it's going to lead to stunted growth. Um, Again, going back to early overuse injuries, uh, problems, health problems with the bones, muscles, tendons. So all that we sort of see that it is the risks do not outweigh the benefits when it comes to sports specialization. And lastly, we just have our references. And so, thank you for the year, Dr. Bright. Thank you.